when you think of Eddie Howe, you think of calm, precise and very dignified, and doesn't actually come out with any blunt statements very often. However, this morning at his press conference, I think he certainly let everybody know where he stands on Ryan Fraser. But let's take a look at the other stuff that the manager had to say this morning regarding the game against Man City tomorrow. This is the Daily News. Hi everybody, my name's Paul, back again, and discussing the press conference this morning, and very, very intrigued as to what he had to say about Ryan Fraser. As you can see at the bottom there, Eddie very blunt over Ryan Fraser. It doesn't look like he has any part to play for the rest of the season for Newcastle United, and will be on his way at the end of the season. Personally, I think by the looks of things, exactly the same has happened at Newcastle as what happened with Bournemouth. Now, we all knew, Eddie said that he made up with Ryan Fraser before he actually became Newcastle manager, so there was no awkwardness when he came to the club. At that time, Ryan Fraser hadn't really done anything at all. He'd been out injured most of the time, apart from when he was on international duty. But Eddie gave him a chance, and he hasn't taken that chance, to be honest. And he's very, very blunt in what he says about Ryan Fraser. This is what he had to say. He says, Ryan is training with the under-21s. I made a decision to concentrate on players who are committed to Newcastle United and for the benefit of the group. Does he have a future at the club? Life and football can change quickly, but at the moment, he hasn't. Now, for Eddie Howe to come out and say that is very, very strong, because we're used to Eddie Howe, like I said in the intro there, being very dignified and calm, but that tells me that something has gone on behind the scenes with Ryan Fraser. Players committed to Newcastle United. In other words, what he's saying there is Ryan Fraser has shown no commitment to Newcastle United, which is why he's training with the under-21s. And rightly so. Good on Eddie for doing that, because it's about time. Ryan Fraser, for me, has took the piss out of Newcastle United since the minute he walked in the door. He's done nothing for us. He's been injured most of the time. Apart from, like I say, when he goes on Scottish duty, he plays really well for Scotland, comes back and he's injured again. What is that all about? Seriously, what is that all about? It's disgusting. And I think he's took the piss since the second he's walked in the door. Totally disrespected Bournemouth in the way he did. And now the same problem has reoccurred again at Newcastle United. This guy just has wasted his career, in my opinion, most of the time. The last few years, he's just gone down the pan. Look, teams will look at this, right? Teams will look at this and think, right, what will he offer our club if we were to sign Ryan Fraser? Because his attitude is obviously absolutely stinking. And certainly we as fans and Eddie as the manager and the owners do not want bull rot like that at the football club. Absolutely no chance. So I think, from what Eddie's had to say there, the attitude, etc., he's done damn well right putting him in the under-21s, made to train with them, made a spectacle of, because if your attitude isn't right, we know Eddie will just bin you. I mean, he's got the right, you've got to have the right attitude for Eddie, and he's proved that since day one. And Bournemouth fans will confirm that as well, that if you don't have the attitude and the nous to work under Eddie Howe and work your arse off for Eddie Howe, you'll be out the door. And that's exactly what's happened to Ryan Fraser. So incredible comments from Eddie Howe this morning. But I'm damn pleased with him for doing it, because it just proves, and it proves to the other players in the squad as well, you take the piss and you won't be part of this. Simple as that. If you're not good enough, or your attitude stinks, you'll be out the door. And I'm delighted with what Eddie's doing with that, because Ryan Fraser's, he's let himself down. He's let his family down. He's let the fans down. He's let the club down, as he did at Bournemouth. So good riddance, to be honest. I don't think that's going to change. Although Eddie said football can change, I highly doubt that is with Ryan Fraser, because he's been through it before. Let's not forget that. Now, a few of the things that Eddie had to say. Likely to retain Nick Pope in goal, obviously after his suspension. He is expected to come in. And obviously Dubravka could be back on the bench. Anthony Gordon, there's a possibility of him playing as well. But on Bruno Guimaraes, who of course was substituted in the cup final with injury, but he said Bruno is fine. I think he was in a bit of a short-term pain, but nothing that has impacted his training week. Off the top of my head, there are no other injuries. So that looks like, Joe Willock's fit again. Joe Linton is fit. Bruno is fit. That's good news because it gives Eddie Howe choices for this Manchester City game. We said in the preview yesterday that it's going to be very, very important. I think more so who is going to be his front three tomorrow because we all think it needs to change. We all want Isak in. We all want Gordon in. And players that haven't been doing it the last few weeks are the players that should miss out. Now, when facing Manchester City, who have, of course, beaten Newcastle in the last 13 games at the Etihad Stadium. That is an incredible stat. He says you do have to be at your best against Manchester City. It's a difficult run of games for us when you go against Liverpool, Man City and Man United. But I think in the first two games, although we haven't got the results we wanted, the performances have been strong. There's loads of different ways you can approach a game like Manchester City. We went one way and it was a really brave approach. It was very front foot and it made for a brilliant game between two top teams. Of course, talking about the 3-3 draw at St James's Park earlier this season. He then went on to say, I don't think our principles ever change. We're going to need to be very good defensively and very good with the ball. We're going to need to pose a threat in the game and I believe we can do that. Certainly, we'll need to get our foundations strong. Now, we all know that Newcastle have been bang out of form recently. Yes, the performance against Manchester United, some would say it was decent. Some have actually said, no, it wasn't. The lack of shots on goal for me is the one that stands out for everybody, I think. Just not shooting the ball. Why? Hell only knows. Hell only knows. But hopefully they've rectified that and they will actually try some shots on goal against Manchester City. But he's right. We need to get the foundations right. We need to be very good with the ball, but we also need to be very good without the ball, of course. Defensively strong and disciplined because, you lose your concentration against Manchester City. They will turn it on big style. Now, following Sunday's Carabao Cup final defeat against Manchester United, he says, we were bruised on Sunday and Monday, but very quickly for me, it turned to Manchester City and returned to work on Monday afternoon. The passion and the motivation I didn't feel could increase within me, but I think it has. We experienced a great occasion to see the Newcastle supporters, the colours, visions and memories that I'll have and take from that. The passion and love they showed to the team in all moments will stay with me, and I think we want to return that and give them future success, which burn deep inside of me. There's no doubt about it, guys, that this guy is a winner. Every time he talks, look, Eddie Howe is going to make mistakes along the way. The new owners will make mistakes along the way. That is a given, right? There's no doubt about that. But Eddie Howe is this type of manager that learns, hopefully, from his mistakes very, very quickly. Now, I don't think it was a mistake what he did in the cup final. I think, he went with Callum Wilson as we all thought he would. So expected Wilson to mix it up a bit with the centre-backs in Manchester United. That didn't happen. And I have a feeling that Isak is going to start, seemingly from what Eddie Howe says about Isak a bit later. But I think he'll play. But it's wonderful to hear that Eddie has more passion and motivation now after the final, after seeing what it could be, where Newcastle could be in future years and playing regularly at Wembley and things like that. He's obviously got a deep burning desire to get the club back there. Now, on his aims for the remaining 15 Premier League games, he says, in the league we stalled a little bit. In a sense, we've missed a couple of games and haven't won games that we would have wanted to, so we need to reignite that. The cup final, as much as we didn't want it to be, was a big distraction for us. Not so much for myself, because I'm preparing a game, and all of them are very similar processes. But for the players, every time they went outside the door, I'm sure it hit them. That's gone now, and we're back to our league form, and we want to attack everything and finish as high as we can. Again, massive positivity from Eddie Howe. We all said over a short period of time that maybe the cup final had been a distraction. And it was obvious it would be. We haven't been in a cup final for so long. Of course it's going to be a slight distraction for the fans, for the players, for the club, for everybody. But as Eddie says there, it's out now, it's gone. And now we need to concentrate on the league and finish as high as we can in the league. Get that league form back. Yes, everybody believes we overachieved so far this season. However, that's not to say we can't keep punching above our weight for the rest of the campaign. So for me, Eddie's spot on there. The focus is right back on the Premier League and right back on trying to be very successful and finish as high as we possibly can in the league. Now, on Anthony Gordon, who really, he hasn't started a game yet for Newcastle United. We have a feeling that he might start at the Etihad. This is what Eddie had to say on him. He says he's got a big part to play. He's been working hard in the background in between these games. When he came to us, he was a little bit short of high-end fitness. We've done that work with him, and he's looked really good, physically very strong. I'm really excited about what he can do in the second half of the season. So, for me, all indications are on him starting the game at Manchester City. Miggy hasn't been great the last few games. So, whether he sticks with ASM on the left and puts Anthony Gordon on the right, it's about time. It's time now we started these two big signings, big money signings that we've got, and see what they can do. Give them a good run of games in the team. Let them settle into properly starting games and getting up to speed. Isak included, and let's see what these guys can do. And finally, on the role of Alexander Isak, he said he's a player that almost is a new signing for us because of his injuries that he picked up, and we missed him in the early part of the season. Now he's back and he's fit. He's improving with more training sessions and understanding of what we want from him. He's building his fitness levels as well, and still probably not at his optimum, but he's getting close to it. I love Alex as a lad and a player. I think he's got so much to give us, and I think he'll add a different dimension to our team. So again, as in what he's saying about Anthony Gordon, it looks like Eddie's sort of leaning towards Isak starting as well as Manchester City. Now, formation-wise, God only knows. Is he still targeting the 4-3-3? Is he not? Is he going to go with something else? There's so many possibilities here that Eddie can maybe work on. So we're just going to have to wait and see what he puts out. But whether he goes 4-2-3-1, which I don't think he will, but he might. You just never know. Eddie always throws a curveball to us every single match. So we'll await that team lineup at 11:30 tomorrow morning, and we'll see what we get. But don't forget, that game is live here on the Toon Review. Full commentary from the Etihad Stadium with myself. We'll be on live from 12 o'clock with half an hour's build-up to the game with team news, etc. And then full play-by-play commentary of the game with myself. So don't forget to tune in for that. Obviously, if you're watching it live on the TV, knock the commentary off, watch it with me, and listen to the commentary on this channel. So many people do. It's a brilliant place to be on match day to interact with everybody. But there you go, guys. Let me know what you think of Eddie Howe's comments, and of course Ryan Fraser. Eddie, very, very cutthroat with him today in the media interview. So let me know what you think. I have a feeling what you think already, but it's nice to read the comments, of course, and everything else that he's had to say. Who do you think will start the game tomorrow at the Etihad? But as usual, guys, if you have enjoyed the video, please do smash that like button for us. As I keep saying, it really does help the channel and in search results, etc. And of course, if you're new, like so many people have done lately, please do hit that subscribe button. Come and be part of the Toon Review community, and of course the notification bell, which will let you know when we go live, upload, or we schedule in a live show. But that is it for now. Don't forget, if you're watching this on Friday, 8 p.m. tonight, TDR Friday. We'll be talking about the Cup final, what's going to happen at the weekend, any news from Newcastle United, of course, this stupid thing about, Amnesty International kicking off and all of that. We'll talk about that as well. And of course, don't forget the big fat football quiz, where you can come on and challenge the hosts and try and win some prizes. That's all tonight on TDR Friday. But for now, enjoy the rest of your day, guys. Take care.